Some of the core challenges we were focusing on were the workflow for our reps when they're making their outbound activity, their calls, of course, and kind of just meetings at any stage of the sales cycle. Make sure that workflow was efficient for them in terms of note-taking, in terms of logging, and recording those back into our CRM for future reference. But that's one part. And the second part, which is probably the more crucial thing for us, was we knew we were going to be scaling the sales team, whether that was on the SDR side or the account exec side. So really building up a resource and a library of best practice and learnings for those that are joining the business to become efficient and proficient in their roles quite quickly and early on, and ensuring we were driving that success of coaching and that culture of coaching within the team as well. One of the coolest things we find is the sidekick. And especially if you're on a meeting with a colleague and another rep and the sidekick's there while you're in a call, you can actually see what they're typing as notes and what they're recording and what I'm typing and recording as notes, and make sure that we haven't missed anything that we were trying to capture from what the prospect's been saying in the sales cycle or in that meeting. And that sidekick then pressing one button puts it straight back into CRM. And there's no need for the rep to have to do any lengthy follow-up or note typing. And they can actually focus and spend more time with following up directly with the prospect they were meeting with. I think the sidekick piece is one of the top features. Another one for us is the ability to snippet and share aspects back from meetings and calls directly with ourselves as within the sales team, but also to give the wider business context in terms of what we're hearing and what we're seeing. So, for example, if there's a demand for a certain product feature or use case of our products, and sales try and explain that over email or Slack to our tech team or product team, it becomes 10 times more powerful if they hear the customer's voice explaining it themselves. And with a quick snippet and a button that sends it straight back to Slack, we can achieve that quite easily. So for me personally, one of the cool things I actually did with Jiminny was I had it implemented before I officially joined the business. So there were a couple of sales reps already in the team, and I got Jiminny in for I think a month or two before I joined. But then I was able to access and listen into the calls those reps were making. So I knew straight away where we needed to focus our coaching efforts when I joined. But also it gave me a lot of insight into the company, into what the prospects are saying, what the use cases are, and gave me a lot more confidence in understanding the value proposition of the company. But because I had that, I knew that every new SDR or every new account exec that we brought into the business would have that same experience. So we've got our playlist set up for them for when they join. They go back and they listen across every single sales stage, touch point, to understand how the current team are handling those processes, what objections might come up to them and how to handle them. And it gives quite a solid onboarding process for people to hear and listen to the customers before they go and do it live themselves as well. So that's one of the key kind of benefits that we've seen. What we also do as a team is we run weekly coaching as a group, as a collective, and we're all in Jiminny for that process. So let's take one of our AEs will share a discovery call. We will all go and listen to it a couple of days before our session. We'll split up into two groups. So one group will be providing constructive feedback. One will be providing positive feedback, and aligning all of that back to our playbook and our ways of working and selling, and giving that rep the confidence that they're doing the right things, but also guiding them into where they could be doing things differently or doing things a bit better. And we call that our kind of weekly hot seat and film review. And that's really changed our culture within the team to understand that coaching drives us to better outcomes as well. And that's been one of the biggest changes we've seen. So one of the key things we've seen for our new joiners is their speed to productivity. So SDRs joining the business are onto the phones and out doing their outbound within 2 weeks of joining, because they've got that confidence in hearing how their colleagues and their reps and peers are doing it today, and the success that they're getting, so they understand what works and what necessarily they need to be aware of. On the account executive side, with the playlist to understand how to run a best practice discovery or what objections are going to come up when we start talking price or commercials, that gives them their confidence to understand, I can handle this. I know what the prospect's going to say to me, and I know what we need to say back to make sure we can handle those objections effectively. We've actually seen increases in time to ramp. So our SDRs are starting to hit their targets earlier and deliver their first kind of opportunities in advance of what we thought they would. And similar with the account executives, they move deals through the funnel a lot quicker, especially on their first couple of deals that they run. So we've seen time to close decrease. We've seen the conversion rate increase, and making sure that all the team are selling in a consistent manner. The first thing you've got to understand is if you're going to make this change, the solution is going to drive a cultural change as well. So you need to be ready to adapt and make sure that you're invested in not only just having something that will give you transcripts and logging, but something that's going to drive better behavior in your team, but also something as a sales leader myself is going to enable you to drive the coaching culture within your team as well. So that's one of the key things you need to understand, is it's going to be a cultural shift, and you want to be on board with that change because you're going to see the outcomes if you put in the effort and the investment on your side as well. I think from any software solution that someone purchases or implements, one of their biggest worries is always going to be, what support will I get? How will I be treated? What is my customer success relationship going to be like? And I can honestly say with Jiminny, all of those are some of the best you will find in the SaaS space. So the support team are there constantly. They're there for any question, no matter how big or how small, and their response times are pretty much instant. I would describe them as the John Lewis of the SaaS customer service, basically. And on the CSM side, we've got a fantastic relationship with our CSM, Mike. He's always there to make sure we're getting the most out of the solution and always guiding us to new feature requests and onboarding our new joiners onto Jiminny effectively as well. So it's absolutely brilliant.